Vietnam's history is a journey full of hardships and glory, from the period of slavery under foreign domination to the persistent struggle for independence. Here is an overview of this process. The period of nation building and defense, BC 10th century. Vietnam has a very early history of nation building, with the birth of early states such as Van Lang, ruled by Hung Vong. O Lac, under Thuc Phan and Duong Vong. This was the period that opened the development of Dong Sun culture, famous for its bronze casting technique. However, from the 2nd century BC, Vietnam fell under the yoke of northern feudalism, lasting for more than 1,000 years. From the Han dynasty to the Tang dynasty, from 111 BC to 938 AD. During this period, the Vietnamese people constantly fought against the domination of Chinese dynasties. Typically the uprisings of Hai Ba Trung, 40–43, Ba Tru, 248, and Go Kien, with the victory at Bac Dang in 938. Marking the end of the period of Chinese domination. The period of feudal autonomy, 10th–19th century. After regaining independence, Vietnamese feudal dynasties were successively formed and developed. Go, Dinh, Tien Le, 10th century, although they did not exist for long. These dynasties played an important role in consolidating the young independence. Li, Tran, Ho, 11th–14th century, under the Li and Tran dynasties. Vietnam developed strongly, asserted its autonomy, and continuously defeated invasions from the Song and Yuan dynasties. In particular, the Tran dynasty defeated the Mongol Yuan army 3 times in the wars of 1258, 1285, and 1288. Early Le dynasty, 15th century, after defeating the Ming invaders in the Lam Son uprising led by Le Loi. The Le dynasty was established and marked a period of economic, cultural, and educational prosperity. The Trinh Nguyen conflict and Tay Son dynasty, 17th–18th century. Vietnam was divided into Dang Nguai, governed by Lord Trinh, and Dang Trong, governed by Lord Nguyen, creating a period of prolonged civil war. By the end of the 18th century, the Tay Son movement under the leadership of Nguyen Hue emerged, defeating both Lord Trinh, Lord Nguyen, and the invading Qing army, unifying the country. Nguyen dynasty, 1802–1945, the Nguyen dynasty. Founded by Zhao Long, Nguyen An, unified Vietnam and reigned until the French colonialists invaded in the mid-19th century. Colonial period and the struggle for independence, 19th–20th century. French colonial period, 1858–1945. French colonialists began invading Vietnam in 1858 and gradually occupied the entire country by the end of the 19th century. During this period, the Vietnamese people constantly rose up against colonial rule. Typically the Can Vong movement, 1885–1896. The Yen the Uprising, 1884–1913, and Phan Boi Chau's Dong Du movement, revolutionary movement of the Communist Party of Vietnam, under the leadership of Ho Chi Minh. The Communist Party of Vietnam was born in 1930, bringing the revolutionary movement to a new turning point. The August Revolution of 1945 was successful, overthrowing the French colonial regime and the Nguyen feudal government, establishing the Democratic Republic of Vietnam on September 2, 1945. Resistance war against France and the U.S., 1945–1975. Resistance war against France, 1946–1954, after France returned to Indochina. Vietnam waged a 9-year resistance war and won a resounding victory in the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, 1954, forcing France to sign the Geneva Agreement, dividing Vietnam into 2 regions with the Ben Hai River as the temporary boundary. Resistance war against the U.S., 1955–1975. The U.S. replaced France in intervening in Vietnam, supporting the Republic of Vietnam government in the south. The Vietnamese people's resistance war against the U.S. lasted 21 years, culminating in the Ho Chi Minh Campaign in 1975, leading to the unification of the country. Post-war period and nation building, 1975–present. After the victory in 1975, Vietnam entered the period of national reconstruction and overcoming the consequences of war. However, the economic, Social and political difficulties in the early period led to comprehensive renovation from 1986. When Vietnam began to implement the open-door policy and international integration. To date, Vietnam has become an independent country, developing rapidly in economy and achieving many achievements in the fields of society, science and technology. Vietnam's historical journey from a slave country to fight for independence is a long, arduous but proud process. The resistance wars against foreign invaders and nation-building have forged the resilient and indomitable spirit of the Vietnamese people. Vietnam is now an independent, developed country with many remarkable achievements in many fields. Below is a comprehensive overview of Vietnam today, including its economy, politics, society, education, and international position. Economic growth. Vietnam is considered one of the fastest-growing economies in Southeast Asia, with the Doi Moi economic renovation policy since 1986. Vietnam has transformed from a centrally planned economy to a socialist-oriented market economy. Since then, the country has achieved impressive results with an average GDP growth rate of 6% to 7% in recent years. Import and export. Vietnam is one of the world's leading exporters of many products such as rice, coffee, seafood, mobile phones, and textiles. Industrial parks and special economic zones focused on the production of electronic goods, especially smartphones, have helped the Vietnamese economy become a manufacturing hub for many multinational corporations such as Samsung, Intel, LG, and Apple. Foreign direct investment, FDI. Vietnam has strongly attracted foreign investment, especially from Asian countries such as South Korea, Japan, and China. The Vietnamese government has issued many preferential policies and promoted administrative reforms to create a favorable environment for international investors. Politics. Political system. Vietnam is a socialist country. Under the sole leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, the highest authority is the National Assembly, the country's legislative body, and the government is the executive body. Political stability. Thanks to a stable political system, Vietnam has maintained sustainable development. However, the country still faces challenges such as reforming the state apparatus, fighting corruption and enhancing democracy in the management process. Society. Education. Vietnam has made great progress in education. The literacy rate in Vietnam is high, reaching about 95%. The general and university education system is increasingly upgraded with many international educational institutions established in major cities. However, the quality of education is still uneven between rural and urban areas, and needs to be improved in terms of infrastructure and teaching quality.